Hello, and welcome to one of my first ever videos. And before we start, I just want to say I will be keeping this as spoiler-free as possible, as I think if you like this video, you should definitely check out the book, The House of Leaves, which I will be, of course, discussing. So, the backrooms, you've probably heard of them. If not, I'll explain them in a minute. But something you may not have heard of it before is The House of Leaves. After watching and reading both, I have come to the conclusion that The House of Leaves is definitely a superior version of the Backrooms. Of course, I still think the Backrooms is good, but just hear what I have to say. So for those who don't know, the Backrooms is basically an internet horror creepypasta kind of thing, and it stems from an old post on 4chan, just with this image, and someone later eventually added the text. If you're not careful, and you clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background of noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million squares of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell heard you. And that post, of course, sparked an entire genre with games, a movie coming out soon made by the most famous of the Backrooms creators, and so many mini-series on YouTube, and a full wiki list of monsters in different levels. Yes, you heard that right. As much as it would be scary without the monsters, there are still tons of monsters, which each reside in different levels of the backrooms, which there are hundreds of, and each with their own dangers. The House of Leaves is a book by Mark Z. Danielewski, and follows a family that when they move into their new house, they begin to discover the inside is larger than the outside, and then they begin to discover more strange stuff, like the new door in their house that leads into a hallway with many corridors and stairs, and everything seems normal except for it's all pitch black and empty. As the book goes on, the house expands, and the very nature of the book itself is torn apart as even the pages get confused and jumbled, like the house and basically symbolizing the house and the character's psyche. Eventually, they realize there may be something with them. For those who can't see the similarities, both are infinite or near infinite places, completely random, with massive liminal space, and both tear at the minds of anyone unfortunate enough to get stuck there. By the way, I will approach the next one by listing the elements they share and explains which one does it better. So, let's do that. Fear factor. The backrooms, at least in my opinion, are much more orientated in the fear of being caught, which is a good fear, but will only last for a few seconds after you get caught. I'm going to talk about the monsterless backrooms idea in a second. The House of Leaves also takes an approach to fear that is much more of a building terror that lasts long after you put the book down. It also does not settle for quick scares and usually uses thoughts instead of monsters. The monsters. The Backrooms does have a host of good monsters, but also there are a lot of poorly written ones that the fandom made or don't fit in the Backrooms. The Backrooms has become a place where you can just put whatever you want, meaning it is diluted by a bit bad or one-dimensional creatures. Of course, some iterations of the Backrooms don't add monsters, and I do prefer that myself. The House of Leaves takes a more slowly and hints at a monster being there even before it may be there, and it may actually just be symbolic of something. Storyline. The Backrooms doesn't have a specific storyline, but as anyone can make a story, which there are masterpieces like Kane Pixel's Backrooms, so I don't necessarily think that this is bad. Or The House of Leaves does create an amazing plot and storyline that is exemplified by the things that the book does with the very text and how it is written. One last thing about the Backrooms. It is a wiki with people constantly adding and removing stuff, with very little guidelines, making it easy for there to be a lot of entries by young children, kind of diluting the end product of it. So, there are a lot of differences, and I think the one that makes the biggest impact is, of course, the monsters. Because let's say I drop you in the backrooms, and you've seen monsters, and you know you're gonna keep surviving, questioning what's behind every corner, because you know there could be a monster. You'll be scared, but still determined to fight. and you'll be scared of the idea of a monster. But after a long time, you realize if you were dropped inside the House of Leaves, after a long time, you would realize the sight of a monster might actually be good. It would show you that you're not alone, and you would never see that if there was no monsters. You would just wander far and wide, and you realize before you thought that it would be the worst punishment of all. You realize it's nothing compared to this, and you decide that it isn't worth to keep doing this, and you fall, and you fall, and you fall. And maybe when you hit the ground, it will finally end. Hey, so you made it to the end of this video. If you would like to watch more backroom stuff, you can see this video I made right here about speed modeling in Blender a few backrooms renders. As always, thanks for watching, and good night.